All right, folks, welcome back to my iMac here, this desktop. Let's toggle over to desktop 2, where I have our Ubuntu Hackintosh here over to the left. That is running that Ubuntu 18.04 instance. And I also have, that's using VNC, the screen sharing server that's on with Mac or native to Mac. I also have it piped in locally here through SSH, which I'll get into in a second here. But let's go into the blog posts. I'm going to be starting with the point 4 of section 2 or part 2 of the GoldenEye tutorial. We'll start at point 4. And then after that, how to create an email with a decentralized identity sent over Ethereum blockchain. I wanted to reference this just because in case you're interested in setting this up like locally, just accessing this Hackintosh locally on your home network. I thought this would help. But anyway, just in case you're interested, it's in this this segment here. It's in how to create an email with a decentralized identity sent over the Ethereum blockchain. Then lastly, number 3, this another older post that I did a while ago, how to run a Bitcoin full node on a Raspberry Pi 3 Plus. Scroll down to this segment here, which explains how to obtain a full ledger or full node. And it would be easier to run an external hard drive that already contains a full node for this tutorial. We're getting into the GoldenEye tutorial, but I will explain when we get to that, or we will cross that bridge when we come to it. So let's go ahead and begin here. What you'll do first here in the left, I've already done this to have this set up ready to go, but you'll go to the bottom left corner, and it's a little sluggish, so you'll have to pardon me over the network here. And then you'll go to Software Updater, and then you'll run that, and then you would reboot it after this updates. Again, I've already done this, so you won't need to do it now. I'm sorry, you will need to do it, but I've already done it, so I don't need to install all the updates, but you will need to install all the updates and then restart the computer. So at this point, assume that you've already done that, okay? And now you're logged back in at this screen. I'll close this to avoid some confusion there. And let's see here. So you're there. You'll want to run sudo apt get update right here. Point 6. First is sudo apt get update. Just go ahead and type it in if I can. See, it's slow, and that's why I'm going to be using this terminal here, but I just want to do the first couple of things here with you on the terminal. So sudo apt get update, okay? And then upgrade. And then you would usually reboot for good measure. That's again after, but I've already done all the updates and upgrades that we need for this tutorial, so we should be good to go. So you'd reboot and then log back into your instance there, and you should be good. So now the next step would be to download and install Bitcoin Core. And this is where I'm going to minimize this Ubuntu terminal window. Again, this is the environment that I have set up. It's over, as you can see behind my shoulder here. That's where the Hackintosh is. So I'll minimize this, okay? Then I'll put this here. All right, and then the next thing we're going to do here, so let's just, again, pretend this terminal window, I'm piped in, I guess, like I said, locally. This is actually from my desktop here, but just assume that it's now sitting on your Ubuntu desktop now. So I'm just copying, pasting over here just to, it's the same. It's just, again, you saw how sluggish this was, so just, again, assume this is your terminal within Ubuntu over here. So let's go ahead and install sudo the Bitcoin repository or Bitcoin basically. We're going to install Bitcoin Core. So let's go ahead and paste that. And then I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to enter in the password for that Ubuntu instance. I'm going to hit enter to continue as it says. Okay, then sudo apt-get update. I'm gonna run that. And then we're gonna run sudo apt-get install Bitcoin D. Type in yes, Y. Okay, so then after that, I'm going to run this. This is another dependency that I've read in some blog posts. It's a good one to install just in case you avoid any, it basically is to avoid any errors associated with Bitcoin Core. So let's go ahead and run that, hit yes. Again, it's just another environment dependency for Bitcoin Core. All right, so this is where I'm going to explain something here and plug in a external hard drive. So this hard drive right here, you can still see me in the bottom right corner. This contains an almost full node. I think it's probably on block 607,000. I stopped because I had to do this tutorial and unplug it, so it's probably about 5 or 6 days behind. But I'm going to go ahead and plug it into this MacBook over here, or our Hackintosh now. We'll plug that in. So we can access that. Now that we have Bitcoin Core installed. Okay, so we have the Bitcoin Core installed, right, on this Hackintosh. This is right back here, right? It's installed, Bitcoin Core. It's on that environment now, okay? And so, and again, I don't want to confuse you but again, just pretend this terminal window here is, that's the terminal window within Ubuntu. You have yours open. And it's not going to look like that because mine's right now is I'm piping in from my environment over here on my desktop, and I'm just overlaying that onto the Ubuntu instance. But we do have that full node that is on that Seagate hard drive, or partially full node. So you can see here it's got should say chain state and blocks. Should be a couple folders on there. It says that. It should be. Might take a second to load. Maybe it's because the I might need to. I think it's because the hidden files aren't available. Give me 1 second here. I have to. I forgot how to do that. I think it's the preferences section here. I think it's maybe here. Show hidden files within Ubuntu. It's the top right corner. Yeah, there we go. See, okay, so we got the Bitcoin Core folder, then we have blocks and chain state. So that is the Bitcoin, that's also another Bitcoin Core file that's referenced on this Seagate drive. So what we're going to do now here is this command right here, right? That references, it's basically, as I explained here, it's referencing the core files on that hard drive instead of the ones on your native environment. The reason why you want to do that is because on the Hackintosh, or that Hackintosh, this computer, it only has about 100 gigabytes. And in most cases, you're going to want to use a cheaper laptop. And in that case, it probably won't have a hard drive bigger than 500 gigabytes. In order to run the Bitcoin, Core, you're going to want at least 500 gigabytes. You probably want a terabyte. So that's 1 terabyte external hard drive. So pull up that terminal window again. Oops. I don't want to do that. I want to minimize that one to get the other terminal window we have. So I have that. So in order to launch Bitcoin Core now, again, we've got the Bitcoin Core installed on the laptop, but it's going to be referencing the files that are on that external USB hard drive. So let's go ahead and run that command in order to fire it up, just to demonstrate. So this command right here that I have referenced in this blog post, that will run Bitcoin, the Bitcoin client, and it'll start syncing with the Bitcoin blocks that are out there. It'll get it up to date. Let's go ahead and run it. So as you can see, and this might take some time. So I'm going to go ahead and kill that. I don't know. I might leave it running. I might not. Let me see. I'll just go ahead and run it, but it'll take some time to do that. So let's go ahead and open another window here. So I have another window open here. Just reference that. I'll let this minimize, let it run. To let it catch up. So let's see here. Yeah, after a few minutes, try running either Bitcoin CLI get connection count. So it'll take some time to sync. So let that go. So now we're ready to install the Bitcoin Blockstream Bitcoin FIBRE dependencies here. So it's about 7 one-liners here. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to copy and paste this first dependency here. Copy and paste. Enter. I got to enter in the system password. I don't want to confuse anyone by having this other window open, but I would like to keep it open until it's the next blocks are verified, and I'll refer back to it. Okay, so now we're ready for the next one, number 2. Second dependency, let's go ahead and load that one. Let's go with number 3. Yes. Okay, and I think we just, which one was that? Yeah, so now we're on number 4. Copy and paste number 4. I think I copied that correctly. Try that again. Yes. Okay, and we have one more. I think that was that one. And we got copy and paste. Sudo apt-get, okay, so we installed that last dependency. So now we're going to run sudo apt-get update. Then again, I'm assuming most of you are developer level, or at least because if you're following on this tutorial, you're doing some pretty technical things. So I have to assume you have some general knowledge of some stuff. So I'm just going to, again, assume that. So what I'm going to do next, we should reboot, but I have the Blockstream, I have Bitcoin Core running, and it's getting up to date, or it's syncing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this run, and once it's complete, I will once it's complete, I will reboot. But again, I'm gonna wait here until it's finished, and then I'll reboot. So you'll see this segment pause, and I'll reappear here and explain. But again, you'll reboot. Just reboot now, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna wait for the Bitcoin core to complete syncing up, and it's gonna take more time to do that. It'll probably take me another 15 minutes. So again, I'd rather pause that segment now and then join up with everyone after they reboot. So let's go ahead and do that. You'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah, where we left off, we just installed Bitcoin Core. So just to quickly go over that, I'd like to show you all how to run that. So you would copy this command, and again, pretend this, I actually have to log in again, pardon me, I'm sorry about that. I had to reboot just like you all did, and I didn't reboot in from my terminal shell here, so just give me a second while I bring these windows up. Okay, so I'm logged back in. Picking up where we left off, we just installed Bitcoin Core. So just to quickly go over that, I'd like to show you all how to run that. So you would copy this command, and again, pretend this, I actually have to log in again, pardon me, I'm sorry about that. I had to reboot just like you all did, and I didn't reboot in from my terminal shell here, so just give me a second while I bring these windows up. Okay, so I'm logged back in here. I'm going to do the same. I want to get one more terminal up just to have in case. Okay, so again, let's clear that out. Clear that out. Okay, so if you want to run Bitcoin Core, again, assuming you followed along with my screencast here in the instructions, what you would do is you would run this command. And that runs the Bitcoin Core files that are contained on your Seagate there. That's the external USB hard drive you plug in. They reference that and again, it has to have the same sort of file path or structure. Your Bitcoin core file should be there. Again, you'll have to go to my other tutorial in order to do that. I'm going to again assume that if you're following along this, you want to run Bitcoin from space, you have learned how to run your own full node and you kind of know the ins and outs there. And again, I do this, I do another in-depth detailed instructions where everyone gets skilled up there with the Raspberry Pi. So I have to assume if you're following along at this point, you have some general knowledge of Bitcoin, at least Bitcoin development. So pull the terminal window up again. Okay, so in order to run that now, and this is a brief overview, you would run this command here. Okay. And then once that's up and ready, we can confirm that by running commands that conventional, get block count or get connection count, like so. See the same syntax there. Bitcoin CLI is Bitcoin client. The data path or data directory is going to be that hierarchy. That file path within Bitcoin core files there. So get block count. But let's see here. I don't know if it's running yet or not. See if we can just get a connection count. Yeah, see, it's still running. So let's let this run over here a little bit, and then we can come back to that and check in. But we've installed it correctly because I know it's running. You can see it says loading block index. So let's go ahead and clear the terminal window, and now we'll go ahead and prepare this environment for Blockstream. So we will copy and paste this one-liner. This will be downloading the files from the Blockstream repository. Okay. Enter in my system password. Enter. Okay, and sudo apt-get update. And now sudo apt-get install satellite. So let's go ahead and do that command. So one thing you'll note here on this section, bear with me 1 second, is there might be an error, and I've encountered this on every installation I've tested so far. There'll be something missing here. After beginning the Blockstream satellite install with sudo apt-get install satellite, you'll see some sort of parser error. So there is a remediation that I've already seen on Stack Overflow. I've researched it and it works just fine. I'll show everyone, guide along everyone how to do that. Let's go ahead and let this cycle through. takes a little bit of time. See, folks, as you can see, I don't need to pause anything yet. It's not like the other stuff we've installed so far, but you get the point, right? And just to show you here, so now that Bitcoin Core is running, you can see here, we're on block 608, 608,800. You'd run this command. And again, I referenced this. There's some simple commands over here. Like get blockchain info, get peer info, but again, you got that. So the next thing we're going to do. Okay, we got that parser error. So let's go fix that. If after terminal output. So we'd run this command here, sudo nano user. That's launching the editor, and then we just need to attach a caret at the end of that. Like so, it looks like this. See, looks like that now. So, and yes. All right, now we have to update that MIME database. Run this command that I have outlined here. So that should be updated now. Then for good measure, just go ahead and restart that install the satellite. It should overwrite the files there, but again, it's better be safe than sorry on this install. All right, we're good to go. Sudo apt-get update. Okay, and then we should be able to launch a window, but I might have to have the LNB connected, but let's go ahead and try this. If not, I'm going to have to pause it and grab an LNB to plug it in to see if that window doesn't launch or not. Let's just go ahead and see and test that. Okay, yeah, so nothing's connected. Let me pause this, and I'll return and connect an LNB just so this can reference that. I also might restart it, so you'll probably want to restart at this juncture, and then when I pick up after pausing, we'll go from there. Folks, so at this point, I have already rebooted and just to test this Blockstream to make sure it works. So what I've done in order to test this, in order to run that command and ensure that it is properly ready for test, you have to get the LNB, that amp, that power supply ready. You don't need to have the coax cable connected to your satellite yet. You just need the USB connected to that signal to IRD port. It's on the left. And then once that's connected, you connect that to your laptop. And then lastly, you connect the power supply after the computer's turned on. So you got that. It's the first step is turn on the computer, plug in the USB port, the LNB receiver, connect that USB to coax to this power supply signal to IRD, then connect it to the power source like a just a regular surge protector. That power to swim connecting to the satellite isn't required yet in order to test it. So let's go ahead. You'll see what I'm talking about here. I'm going to run that, and again, assume this window right here is your terminal window here. So let's go ahead and copy and paste this command. All right. And that should launch the Blockstream window. It should. Maybe not. Let's try it within, maybe it's not going to work within my terminal window here. Let's pull up the terminal here and try that again. We can paste that command there. Try it now. There we go. Okay, see, so it's working. I mean, it's launching the Blockstream app, the GNU radio, but it's not going to get a signal. So because first of all, it's not connected to the satellite and it's not ready. So let's go ahead and terminate this. The last thing we need to do is install Bitcoin FIBRE, and then we'll be ready for satellite alignment. So let me pull up my window again, my terminal window, that iTerm window. There we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and exit out of that. All right, so in order to do that, we have to clone these repos first. And I haven't checked these docs, so I'm just assuming that everything's been up to date. But you'll want to check the Blockstream docs and make sure that all of these have been updated, because what I'll explain here in a moment, that the frequency was retasked on Galaxy 18. So suddenly when I was running Bitcoin Core with Blockstream the other day, after I had spent several weeks on this testing, because again, I was new to all of this, and that's why I decided to do the screencast, because a lot of people have no idea what they're doing when it comes to satellite alignment. But I could probably be a satellite technician after doing all of this. But after learning all of that, they retest the frequency of my soy signal drop, and I thought it was all on me, but it wasn't. It was on them. So be sure to check the Blockstream docs, and we'll go over that one more time after I install Bitcoin FIBRE with you all. So you run this command, git clone. You're cloning that repo within the home directory there. And we can confirm that by listing the directory after this. See, Bitcoin FIBRE is now, that folder is now within the home directory. We're going to cd into Bitcoin FIBRE. Just do this. Okay. And then we're going to git fetch origin, this one. There is a more up-to-date. I remember seeing another gentleman on Twitter. He's a doctor that also does a little bit of development in his spare time. He said there's another branch that's more current than this one, but this one's at least tested and stable as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to go ahead and run it for the sake, or for the intents and purposes of this tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and compile. And this will take a little bit of time. It'll look like it's stuck, but it's not. And if for whatever reason I need to pause it and come back, I'm going to do that. But this could take several minutes. Okay, finish the compile here. Figure. Okay, and then make sure we got everything in here. That should be fixed. All right, what was the last command we did? Okay, then we got a sudo make. And this should finish the compile here. I told you this segment would probably take the longest. We're at about 40 minutes, I think. So I'm going to try and cut it out, but it'll probably take at least, yeah, we're almost finished here. But after I trim it up and edit it, it'll probably be 30 minutes. So, but it's not too bad. It's pretty smooth. The first time I did this, I tried it with Fedora. Fedora is not going to play nice with any Mac hardware or Apple hardware, so I'd avoid that. I would stick with Ubuntu. And then that didn't work out. And then, like I said, I had no idea what it came to at side alignment. So you'll probably want to pay the most attention on the third segment of this tutorial once we finish compiling Bitcoin FIBRE here. And I'll do a brief demonstration and overview within the office here before we head back out to Ironwoods Park with my pickup truck. All right, folks, while Blockstream compiles, that'll probably take about an hour, I'd like to use this opportunity to take a quick interlude and briefly describe how to download and install Bitcoin core files and then migrate them. This will come in handy if you plan on spinning up more full nodes down the road because it is a time-consuming process. So just let me briefly explain what's going on here. So let's go ahead and begin here. What we would do is we would run these commands, and I've already done this on a new instance over here, this Ubuntu instance over here. I've run sudo apt-get add repository. I've run that, update Bitcoin D. So it's ready to basically start. I haven't run anything yet. As you can see, I'm in my home directory on my Ubuntu instance over here. You're running that list directory with all of the hidden files. Nothing's there yet. But so let's go ahead and run it for the first time. After we run it, we should see a .bitcoin folder up here. So let's go ahead and run that. So the Bitcoin server is starting. After that starts, I think on the first run, it'll take a little bit of time to do this. I think it'll take about, I don't know, it could take up to 8 hours to do that. And it's actually, if you do this on a Raspberry Pi, it's interrupted. It just depends on what machine you're using, but the RAM that's on board could essentially dictate or limit your ability to download the entire ledger in one shot. It could be interrupted many times. So on a MacBook like this, it'll probably work, but it'll probably take about 8 to 10 hours to do. Maybe just depends on your connection speed. On a Raspberry Pi, it can be a little more problematic. That's why you want to learn how to download a full ledger like this onto a MacBook like this, and then take those full nodes, the entire Bitcoin ledger that be stored on an external USB hard drive like that. You would you would just copy and paste those and then spin up other nodes as you would see fit here. So let's just go ahead and just wait here. I'm going to, let's see if we can list a directory now and see if that, see, so if you look at the difference there, the first time I listed the directory, right, there was no .bitcoin file, right? That .bitcoin, that's where all your core files will be contained. So if I go into that directory, right, and list, see, it should say, so there's blocks and chain state. And this will continue to download. I'm not sure what the actual file size is yet, but let me see if I can do this. I do it just from the directory just to give you all a visual. So if I was to go to that and then go to home, let's see if we can list hidden files. Just give everyone a quick visual here. Show hidden files. Should appear here in a second. Yeah, okay. So we'll see this. See how sluggish this is even over my network? I'm gonna have to turn over there in a second and do this. Right click. There's obviously a quicker way to do this on the command line here, but I just want to give everyone a visual here. So it has, we have 225 gigabytes on my hard drive there, right? On the hard drive on board that MacBook. Currently, they're 32 megabytes and counting, right? So what we would do here is we would let it run, let it continue to run, and then we could make it stop. We could actually terminate the, what is it, bitcoin.cli.stop. I can pull up the terminal window here. So if I do bitcoin, what is it, bitcoin.cli stop. So okay, so that's going to stop. It's going to kill the Bitcoin server. So what we could do here is, right, since we don't want to have the Bitcoin core files stored on this native environment, like on this hard drive, this MacBook hard drive, what we would do is we would take this folder, right, we would copy and paste it or move it. Secure copy is another way to do it, as I've outlined in another blog post here. I do this all by the command line with the Raspberry Pi, but I'm just giving everyone more of a visual here. It's an easy representation, especially if you're new to system administration or you just want to learn. What you would do here is you copy this folder, okay? Again, this would be, also just drag and drop it, but it's just, I might have to do this over on my MacBook over there and just let it capture on the screen because it's taking a little bit too long. So let's just do this. So you see what I did there, right? I dragged and dropped that Bitcoin core file that was in the home directory. Then I dragged and dropped it into that Seagate external hard drive. So the next time we spin up the Bitcoin server, I'm just going to exit out of these windows. All right. We need to run this command like so. So, because we've moved those Bitcoin core files that were on the MacBook here, we moved them onto that Seagate, right? That external USB hard drive, that's 1 terabyte. We moved that over there. We're going to run this command now that'll be referencing the core files that are on that device. So watch. I'm going to copy and paste that. Instead of just running Bitcoin D, right? If it was just like on a native computer like that, since we've moved the data directory over to the Seagate, we're going to run this command. See, ordinarily we would just run Bitcoin D, but since it's now referencing the core files on that Seagate hard drive, we have to run it like so. And it will take some processes to verify and rewind blocks, but it will work. You will see. So that's how you would do that. So that was a little tricky for me, actually, just kind of getting around, like trying to figure out exactly how to migrate certain core files and then replicate a full node, so you wouldn't have to download the entire ledger, which takes about 12 hours each time to do it, 12 depending on our connection speed, to say spin up a full node for a new project. So it's just always nice to have a full node, that it's up to date or at least somewhat current. I think we're at block 609,000 now. So it's just nice to have an extra one on hand in case you have another project that's going like that. So you can do Bitcoin T. I don't know why when I did this demonstration, I tried launching it with the Bitcoin Core GUI, but you don't even need it. I mean, I really just kind of provided that for the folks that are not really familiar with the command line, but you're just going to get familiar with the command line. Just stick with this Bitcoin D data that data directory at syntax structure and do that like so. Like I said, more than likely you're going to be using a Raspberry Pi, a cheap computer, or a laptop that doesn't have a lot of memory on board. It'll probably have only about 250 gigabytes if you're doing this in the cheap or doing it efficiently. So what you'll want to do is you want to migrate those core files over to an external hard drive like that Seagate, and then spin up your node like that. So again, this will take time if you decide to do that. Either way, it's going to take some time, but you get the idea. So right now what's happening is that's going to download the entire ledger onto that Seagate external hard drive, right? Since I haven't downloaded anything yet. So the program files, right, are on the native computer here. They're on this Ubuntu environment, right? But it's going to run, but it's going to store all of the data, all the blockchain, all the blocks, and the chain state information. It's going to be stored on the Seagate hard drive because that'll be a big file. I think it's like roughly 230 gigabytes as of today for all blocks and chain state files to sync up with the Bitcoin ledger. So anyway, I just wanted to give a quick rundown or a brief interlude on how that works, because it can be somewhat confusing if you're trying to spin up a full node on your first time and you're like, well, I've got a cheap computer, but I don't have enough memory, so how do I do that? Well, this is how you do it. And without banging your head against Google or searching around the forums on Stack Exchange or Bitcoin.org, I provide some pretty detailed instructions there. So I hope that helps. I tried to really dumb it down and make it pretty easy for folks out there. But that should give it a good wrap there. So let's go ahead and take us out. All right, folks, that took almost about an hour to compile on this machine over here. So I'll be sure to update the blog and preface that with a warning. Again, my MacBook over there is a 2012 version. So if you have a faster processor on board yours, whatever you're retrofitting, it'll probably it won't take nearly as long. So anyway, we ended on that compilation there, and I think it did require me to enter my password in once. So now what we're ready to do is reboot. So I'm going to go ahead and reboot it from the command line here. It'll knock us offline here for a little bit. I'm going to turn around here and enter in that password once it's ready. And I'll log back in from over here. Oops. Once it's ready. So I can do this from here. I guess I need to turn it on first. Okay, so again, pretend this terminal is the terminal. You'd pull up an Ubuntu, and to do that, you would just go to the bottom left here on the menu. That's why I'm using the terminal on this desktop here because it's been pretty sluggish. So pull it back up. So, okay, you would just go to the bottom left there, click on it, like I did just there a moment ago. Then you would type in terminal to pull it up. Anyway, you would find it after you type it in. So I'm just gonna pull up my terminal. I'll exit out of that. If I can exit out of it. Weird that's not responding. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay. Like a little sluggish on this network, but anyway, you get the point. So I'll pull up the terminal here. We'll finish up Bitcoin FIBRE installation. We restarted. So as I explained before, to test Blockstream and GNU radio, you would plug in your power supply. You don't have to have the satellite coax connected. You just have the USB port connected to signal to IRD, and then you would connect that to your laptop. The last thing you need to do is power in the power supply. You do that last, and then we would go ahead and run this command. Blockstat RX GUI. I will be sure to update the frequencies on this because, again, like I said, Galaxy 18 was retasked recently to another frequency. Wonder why that didn't work there. Well, anyway, let's try that one more time. I might have to unplug that, so bear with me 1 second. Try it again. Oh, that's right. I have to do it from the terminal. I forgot. Pardon me. Sorry, folks. Getting a little late over here. So let's pull up the terminal. I have to do it from the terminal over here. So, and that should launch the window. Okay, so there you go. We've got it ready. Blockstream service will be ready. And then after, let's see if I can enlarge this again for a little bit for everyone's. View here. Move that over. So we would launch another window. And then in order to run Bitcoin FIBRE, which was what we just installed, which took over an hour to install, you would run this command down here. And that's essentially running Bitcoin Core with Bitcoin FIBRE. So here, this is the convention or syntax you would follow, this right here. But in my example, see, like username, device name, Bitcoin. But in my case, the username in my MacBook there is Alexander J. Singleton. And that Seagate is the Bitcoin Core files are referenced on that Seagate there, that external USB hard drive we plugged in. So you would, I'm going to copy and paste this. You would obviously edit that according to your user details there. If I can copy and paste that. Actually, try one more time. Well, might have to try that from, see if I can pull it up from my blog over here. I'm going to turn around and do that over here. But basically what I'm doing is I'm going to copy and paste it over there just to provide a brief demonstration. So that would essentially run. You would know that Bitcoin FIBRE is running. I close out of this. Because the buffer would build up. And then after that, in order to check on to see if Bitcoin Core is running, you'd open up one more terminal window. Let's do it now. And then, let's see here. Let's do a new window. New tab, new window. And I'd run this command. It'd be the get block count one, like this, like so. Thought I had included it there. Maybe not. So you'd run that command again, and then you just run get Bitcoin, or I'm sorry, get block count, or get connection count. Try that again. I'll copy and paste it over. See if I included it down below. Thought I did. Yeah, there we go. It's below. So it's Bitcoin CLI, I think. That's right. So you can see there, Bitcoin Core is running. We're running Bitcoin FIBRE, and Blockstream is running, but satellite's not connected. See, I just have the power supply connected. So Blockstream is ready to go, but we don't have the satellite pointed. So I will transition one more time back into my study here before we head out to Ironwoods Park. So stay tuned. All right, folks, that concludes our Blockstream installation and Bitcoin FIBRE installation. So took about an hour on my machine over here to get those Bitcoin FIBRE dependencies on, but we got it installed. We're good to go. So what I'll do next is we'll transition over to Ironwoods Park in my pickup truck, while I will provide a brief demonstration of satellite alignment and acquisition of Blockstream service. And that'll conclude the tutorial. So we're good to go, folks. Let's get after it.